Siamo stati oggi al meet and greet con i fan italiani di Matt. Adesso siamo qui ad incontrare la giuria. This is the juror of Giffoni. We have three different age of group, three different sections of the jury. In the yellow shirt, the jury from 13 to 15 years old, plus 15. From 15 from 17 to 16 to 18, yeah, and on with the fuchsia, yeah, and with the green shirt, the juror from 18 to 90 years old. So before they are in the garden, I think. This is your.
Okay, you made me cry already.
Hi, I'm Alessia from Salerno.
Hi,
First of all, you are my desktop on my computer. Okay. So, I like to be an actress like you, and of course, like lots of people here. And so, like you know, it's very difficult. The show business is difficult. So, I like to have some of your advices because I like to be an actress really, and you are one of my biggest acts in the world, so thank you.
Thank you.
Allora, la mia domanda è: io vorrei essere un'attrice, vorrei diventare un'attrice, siccome questo è un mondo molto difficile, vorrei sapere che consigli puoi darci a noi che vogliamo intraprendere questa carriera.
Well, I think just by being here, you're on the right track. I mean, I wish I had known about something like this when I was a kid, living in, an hour outside of Houston, Texas. No, I wasn't involved in any film festivals that encouraged me to be different. So I would just, look to people who you look up to, whoever that might be, and see what their path was. I went to drama school. When I was in high school, I knew it was something I wanted to do, so I researched what are the best schools in the United States to go to for me. And I got into school that way, and I also looked for schools that were going to give me opportunities when I graduated. And that's how I got an agent, that's how I was able to audition for jobs and get jobs in the States. So, I think a big part of it... I'm going to have to Mariah Carey this mic. A big part of it is dreaming big, and then a big part of it is also having the practical ability to figure out how to get what you need.
As an actor, you find yourself having to cope with set scenes, and also in the normal part, this appears to be a very important part of the matter in general. So I would like to know what's your opinion about how important these kind of scenes can be, because if they're made in a good way, they can add value to a movie. If they're not made the right way, maybe they can spoil it. So what's your opinion about this, and how do you actors cope with this kind of scenes?
Great question. Great question, and really thoughtful. For me, it's about what function does it serve in the story? If it furthers the story, if it enhances a relationship between characters, or has something fundamentally important to that story, then I think it's necessary. You know what you're signing up for, and that's that. If it's something that feels extraneous, I mean, I remember when we filmed the pilot episode of White Collar, they wanted me to have a scene where I was doing yoga shirtless, just randomly. And I was like, no. Why? And they're like, just because. I was like, no. So I think it's important to find the moments when it furthers the story, and it's important to know when it doesn't. And how people feel about it is very subjective. I've worked with incredibly successful actors who won't do it at all. And I've worked with incredibly successful actors who do it in almost every movie. So it's completely up to you, but I do think it needs to serve the story.
I must say that I'm a huge fan of yours, and it's such a
Honored to be here meeting with you. So my question is, I wonder if you have your own standards of choosing scenarios, and what do you consider most importantly when you're choosing?
First of all, it's my honor to be here with all of you. I think this is just the coolest thing I've ever heard of. And the fact that you all come here together and support each other's creativity and differences, and that people from all different cultures get to board with people from other countries and learn about each other, and that's how boundaries are really broken down, and I think this is a really beautiful place to be. In terms of how I decide on stories of which I tell, right? I think it's partly intuitive. I think it's at a certain point, should you have the ability to make those kinds of decisions sheerly on creativity as opposed to financial need. You have to really decide what kind of artist you want to be and what are the stories you want to tell. And if you have a really strong intuition, I think you find that the narrative happens whether you know it or not. You're choosing these stories for a reason. But I think for me, it's something that I impulsively respond to in a story. Like I have a movie coming out soon called Space Station 76, which is a tiny movie. And I'm not even sure if it's going to be released in Italy or not, but the script to me was so profound because it had so much to say about suburban life in America. And I thought, you know, even if only 10 people see this movie, I have to be a part of telling it because it's going to help me in some way as well. And I think there's something from my understanding that I can bring to it.
So I'm referring to the normal part where I quote one of your lines where you say you cannot... Scusa, puoi ripetere la frase in inglese? You cannot
force
the sun
to come out.
to come out. Non puoi costringere il sole a sorgere. So this means that sometimes we are not masters of our own destiny, or maybe we're not always masters of how things go. What's your opinion about this? Do you think we can influence the course of things in a way?
Oh, that's a really interesting question. Well, I think Felix was speaking from a very specific place that time. It's sort of at the place in his relationship with Ned where hasn't quite figured out that he needs to make the most of the time he has left. He's sort of in the darkest phases of being ill. But I think we have some control over it. I think it's almost like I said to her, you have to dream really big. I mean, I was dreaming about being in movies when I was 7 years old. But there are also practical steps that you have to take that I think you have to be aware of on a daily basis that can lead you to those goals. So, but I think one of the main things that will help you stay sane in this business, or in any business, is the ability to keep your response somewhere near the middle. If it's a good news or if it's bad news, because inevitably in life, both are going to come. But if you let the good take you up here, then there's only one way to go when the bad comes. So I think you got to just try to keep those responses closer to the middle, and it'll help your heart stay more sane.